Hello, I'm Karen Pirrie, and I make radio programmes and podcasts for a living. If you've been thinking about starting your own podcast, it might be a lot easier than you think, and I'm going to help you get started with 4 simple guides. So let's start right at the beginning. What is a podcast? It can be a conversation, a story, or a documentary which you can download and listen to whenever you like. Some podcasts are complicated, with a number of different voices and complex production techniques. But more often than not, they're just 2 people talking about something that fascinates them. And you can listen on your smartphone, smart speaker, or your laptop. So how do people find a podcast? Podcasts are accessed via smartphone apps like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Acast. But why should you have one? Well, they've been around for a long time, but now they're going mainstream. We're on the crest of a podcast wave as people get more used to listening to what they want, when they want. The most recent stats from September 2019 show that 1 in 8 people in the UK listen to a podcast every week, and that's up by 1/4 in the last year. So they're a great way to reach people who might not normally be coming your way at the moment. So how long should your podcast be? I would say 30 minutes is a good rule of thumb. Think about what you're doing when you're listening to a podcast and how long that might take. Personally, I'm unlikely to bother with a podcast that's too short because I want it to keep me company while I'm doing something else. Longer podcasts are great for commuting. So what should your podcast be about? Assuming you're making a series of podcasts, choose a subject that you're passionate and enthusiastic about that can sustain a number of episodes. And what's the hook for your listeners? Try and explain it succinctly to a few different people whose opinion you trust. If it takes too long or it's too complicated, then you need to go back to the drawing board and refocus your idea. If you've done your marketing well, people will search for your podcast by its name, but they can also find you by searching for something they're interested in, using search terms just as they do in Google. So what about Cornwall? If I put Cornwall into my podcast app, let's see what we find. Here's one called Cornwall Woman, which is my podcast as it happens. Or what about if you're interested in Cornwall military? Let's put that in. And we find a podcast called Bodmin Keep War Stories. So that's how it works, using search terms or a name. So if you're new to podcasts, then take some time to explore. There are thousands out there on hundreds of different subjects. Find some topics you're interested in and listen to a few episodes. Pay attention to how the podcast is paced and structured and the tone. Is it quite free form and casual, or is it more structured? Think about which style would suit you and your subject to help you develop your own voice and style. But let's start with your most important tool, your voice. Now, it always sounds weird when we hear it recorded for the first time. Even seasoned presenters hated their recorded voice at first, so you won't be alone if you think you sound funny or too high or just boring. Just keep on recording yourself until you feel more comfortable with the sound and pace. And animate your voice if you wish. Remember, you're telling a story, so you can get away with more emphasis, but not too much. Still be yourself. You need to sound natural. So experiment. Just play. Have a few dummy runs recording yourself, and then try recording a chat with a colleague or a friend about an interest that you share. Hopefully, you'll feel more natural each time. All you're doing is having a conversation with someone you like about something really interesting. But practice and enthusiasm go a long way.